going on YouTube? It's your boy Kent Wayne. It's been a while, I haven't posted here lately, but hope everybody's doing a good day on this wonderful hump day or Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope it work's going great with y'all. I want to talk to you guys about my review on Black Widow. I know the movies came out about 2 weeks now, but I saw the movie 3 times, and I want to kind of give my a little opinion on what I think about Black Widow. So, and this is going to be spoilers. I hope everyone had a chance to see the movie. So again, if you have not, I advise not to watch it because I will be mentioning spoilers in this video. So let's get right down to it. So what do I think about Black Widow? So when I first saw Black Widow, of course, it's been a year? No, it's been 2 years since we've seen a Marvel movie. The last Marvel movie we've seen in theaters was Spider-Man Far From Home. So it's been about 2 years since we've had one. Initially, this movie was supposed to be released last year, but because of pandemic, they had to keep pushing it back and back, and then they ended up pushing it back till May of this year. But then they pushed it back again to July. So we finally got a chance to see what the movie was about, and my review on it was kind of a mixed thing. And I will probably say, just like everyone else, this movie should have came out prior to the events after Captain America Civil War, because that's mostly when this movie takes place, is around that time frame. Given that the movie, they decided to make this movie right after Black Widow's, timely demise in Avengers Endgame, it just didn't sit well with some casual viewers, especially with me, because of the fact that, we kind of already wrapped up Black Widow's storyline, and especially with her big sacrifice in Endgame. And now that we're getting this movie, we should have been able to see more of Black Widow before, her time of death, because a lot of us didn't even know Black Widow was going to die. Now, I, for one, would have said that, with me, I thought Black Widow kind of would have retired or disappeared from the, face of the earth. And then, someone would have taken up the mantle, but that didn't happen that way. She ended up sacrificing herself, which it makes a lot more sense because, there wasn't much you could do with Black Widow at the time, given that she's now part of the Avengers. And considering that we never had a solo movie about her adventures, what did she do after, her time served with the Avengers, what happened during, after Civil War, since she betrayed Iron Man and all of that. So we didn't know much about it, but now we finally got a chance to see what happened. We finally get to delve deep into the whole Red Room thing, how Black Widow, or how Natasha became the Black Widow, and how, the Red Room is tied to her origin, how she was able to get away from the Red Room. Because, with the whole Red Room, if anyone who doesn't know, the Red Room is kind of like this facility where they kidnap young women and turn them into assassins. It's almost like what they kind of did with the Winter Soldier program. They kind of just, they didn't really kidnap people. They had people that volunteered to partake in the Winter Soldier program. So with the Red Room, is more like they kidnap young girls, sterilize them, have them train in this room, but they also hypnotize them as well too, to turn them into cold-blooded assassins, to infiltrate and all that. It's mostly where we see a lot about Natasha, how she's able to infiltrate a organization and destroy it from within. That's pretty much what the whole Black Widow persona is all about, is how they, infect within the organization, just like the actual spider, how it bites you and then, its venom infects inside the body. It's kind of like that. We also get to see Yelena Belova, which, to everyone, Yelena was actually a favorite character in the movie. I have to agree too, because I did like how she was portrayed. I do like the actress who portrayed her. Yelena was pretty much to me, I feel like Yelena pretty much took the spotlight of the Black Widow movie instead of Natasha, because of the fact that, it mostly felt more of a Yelena storyline than it did with Natasha, because we all know Natasha's dead now, and now, her story will, continue with another character, which will be Yelena. She will be the one to take up the Black Widow mantle. I was hoping that maybe we get to see her, change her name to the Crimson Widow instead of the Black Widow, for those who don't know who the Crimson Widow is, but that's just my opinion. So with that being said, again, one thing I did not like was Taskmaster. We're going to have to talk about that. How Taskmaster was portrayed in this movie was very disrespectful to the character itself. Not only was it that Taskmaster did not have much in-depth character development, but it's more on the line of, and I'm not one of those people that's, sexist or anything, saying that, oh, when we found out that Taskmaster was a female that upset everybody, I'm not really like that big of a deal. It's just that I wanted, if they were going to do a whole gender swap, it could have just been like Antonia Masters, or just something like that. But instead, it turned out to be Dreykov's daughter who became Taskmaster. And, Taskmaster is one of those characters that he can mimic the power, not power, he can mimic the skill set of any Marvel character like Captain America, Black Panther, Winter Soldier, Spider-Man minus the webs, Black Widow, anybody in Iron Fist, anybody he can mimic, he can take and add it to his own fighting style. The only downside about Taskmaster is that whenever he learns something new, he does forget about his, his origin, where, about his past life. So that's a downfall to it, because I would do an origin on Taskmaster in the near future. But yeah, the way that Taskmaster was handled, I did not like it. I feel like he didn't really needed to be in the story, if that makes sense, because it's just like, what was the purpose of having Taskmaster in there? They could have found any other character, but I guess they want to ask Taskmaster to kind of hype up the movie and be like, oh yeah, Black Widow's going up against a character who almost has the skill set of almost every Avenger, minus Thor, Hulk, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Captain Marvel, etc., Doctor Strange, etc., etc. So then we got to talk about Red Guardian. Red Guardian, in the comics, Red Guardian and Black Widow were a couple, but now they changed to where Red Guardian is the father of Black Widow, and he didn't really do as much as I thought he would. I thought we was going to get like a similar kind of like Captain America fighting style. I was surprised he didn't have his little iconic, Guardian shield. I was hoping we was going to see his shield, but we only just saw the costume. We saw a little bit of how he fights. One thing I would love to see was his, how was Red Guardian back in the day when he was like in his prime? Like, how was he able to, fight off against the enemies and all that? I would love to see that, but we didn't get a chance to see that so far. Then we had Melina, who is supposedly the mother of Yelena and Black Widow. We didn't see much of, well, we know that she was responsible for the whole hypnotizing, so we know about that. We also know that the Red Room was literally not a Red Room. Like, if people think that, oh, they went to this Red Room, like, it's not legit a Red Room. It's almost like a facility in disguise that no one was able to find throughout all these years. It's almost like a shield base, but it was like hidden in the clouds. So that's where the Red Room pretty much took place. And then you have Dreykov, who, by the way, I never even paid attention to this, but it's funny how in the first Avengers movie, when Black Widow was interrogating Loki said something about, can you wipe out that much red? Dreykov's daughter. I never once connected that when I heard the name Dreykov until I saw clips on it on YouTube when Loki mentioned it. And I'm like, wow. That's almost as if like the Black Widow movie could have taken place either after the first Avengers movie. We could have found out about that, or something like that. In my opinion, that would probably be best if they did it after the first Avengers movie. Then, we could have get a little backstory on Natasha. But again, like, the whole purpose of it was mostly about family, of course. Like any other Marvel movie, like Guardians of the Galaxy was about family. Black Widow was mostly about family as well. Because again, it's all about Black Widow trying to reconnect with her family, because, she considered the Avengers a family as well. But because the whole Sokovian Accords and divided the Avengers, and then with the Hulk somewhere off-world and Thor went to go investigate what was going on with the Infinity Stones, Natasha felt as if like she had no one to turn to, like no family, friends, or anything to turn to. So I guess the best way was for her to reach out to her, like her sister, which she should have did, many years ago. But again, it was explained that, Yelena probably didn't want nothing to do with her. Now, they had this mist that allowed, Yelena to break free from the Red Room and also go, not MIA, AWOL. And so when they finally decided to take down the Red Room, it was kind of nice how it played out, because a lot of people were speculating that Red Guardian was going to die, which that didn't happen, because it's like, what else can you do with Red Guardian? I mean, he served 2 decades in prison, and now he's like, when it comes to the super soldier serum, it is said that it does slowly age you, but you're not immortal or anything. Like, you're still going to get old, but it just takes a while till you reach, to become old, but you still remain, physically fit in some form of fashion. As you can see during the prison escape, even though he was like overweight and all of that, he was still able to break the glass and throw those two men out, and then was able to parkour trying to get to the escape route. So again, this movie should have it should have taken place somewhere before the timely demise of Black Widow. And then we got to talk about that post-credit scene that we saw. So if for anyone who saw that lady, and it's so funny how her name always escapes me. Oh, Valentine, that's who it is, Valentine. So as you see in spoilers, from the post-credit scene, we saw that Yelena finally got the dog that she wanted to have. I forgot the name that she named it, but she went to Natasha's grave, paying respects, because she knew that Natasha died during the events of Endgame, and she went there to pay her respects. And then Valentine showed up, and we know that Yelena has been working for Valentine for quite some time now. So Valentine visited Yelena at the gravesite of Black Widow, and she told her that, do you want to get revenge for the person responsible for your sister's death? And so what we saw a tablet that had Clint Barton, right? So Valentine wants to tell Yelena that Clint Barton was the one responsible for killing Black Widow or her sister. Now we all know that there's got to be some catch to it, because I know that I'm not sure if I'm sure Natasha has mentioned Clint plenty of times about how close they were and about the whole Budapest situation, which in my mind, I'm just going to have to go ahead and say, I think that the Budapest thing, Natasha and Clint had a moment. Like, they had a moment, whether they shared a deep connection or whether they shared a romantic moment, like wherever you want to say. I think that's probably what happened. And so, but yeah, like, I feel as if Valentine is trying to recruit like her own team of Avengers in a way, like the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts. We don't know what they're gonna do, because, and for those who don't know who Valentine was, if you saw the movie, she was the same lady who recruited John Walker from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The last episode when he became U.S. agent, because she said that the world needs a different kind of people. So yeah, so that shows you that the Disney Plus shows do have a connection towards the big screen. So for those who haven't seen it, it was best that you go ahead and start watching some of the Disney Plus shows, because most of it's all going to have a big continuity to it, especially if you have watched Loki. Loki is one of those shows that's pretty much going to explain like the whole multiverse situation. So again, like, my review for Black Widow, I will give it a 6.5 out of 10. And mainly is because of the fact that, one, they should have released this movie somewhere in between before Black Widow died. Another reason is the fact of how Taskmaster was handled in the movie. Like, it didn't feel like it was Taskmaster. It just felt like a Terminator-like assassin. Another is because they didn't really do as much with Red Guardian. As much. I just feel like he was just there, just to hype the movie. But overall, I will give it probably a 7, because of the fact that Yelena pretty much kind of stole the show for me. Like, I like Yelena more. She was more relatable than I could with Natasha, because, again, like, this movie should have like took place around that time. And then after Endgame, we could have seen how it would have been like a flashback of, like, let's say that the Black Widow movie would be more of a Yelena Belova Black Widow movie than it would be a Natasha Romanoff movie. So again, it's funny how, like, a lot of people expected this movie to be like a big box office type hit, but lately it hasn't, from the reports I've been reading online. So if you haven't seen Black Widow, I would go ahead and see it. And if you haven't watched any of the Disney Plus shows, I will watch that too, because again, like I said, these shows are starting to connect to the big screen. And I know that there are going to be characters from the Disney Plus show showing up into the big screen and vice versa. And one thing we are going to know is that in that post-credit scene for Black Widow, where we saw that Valentine shown Yelena that Clint Barton was responsible for the death of her sister. Because Hawkeye is also getting his Disney Plus show as well, for people who don't know. So again, Yelena is going to be showing up in the Hawkeye Disney Plus show, and Hawkeye is going to be training a new protege by the name of Kate Bishop. So again, I would advise you guys to watch it. But other than that, I just want to give you guys my review on Black Widow. And again, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it. And again, I hope you all have a wonderful Hump Wednesday.